Thank you. Good afternoon once again, everyone from Accra, specifically the Institute of Statistics, Social and Economic Research at the University of Ghana. We want to thank you all for making time to join us on this information session for the second round of the call for proposals for the Refined program. So it's going to be a very straight and brief information session. We will start with an overview of the research and the grant program by the Executive Director for the Research Initiative. This will be followed by a presentation on the application process, specifically how to use the platform and key requirements for the presentation. There will be time for questions and answers. But before that, we encourage you to use the chat box in this call to put in any question you have as the presentation goes on. So to start, I will want to take us through the housekeeping for today's session. So just to inform you that this session is being recorded so that it can be put on our website for future use for those who were not able to join us. We encourage or request that all microphones be muted. Then if you want to ask a question, kindly use the raise hand feature on Teams. And then once again, we encourage you to put all your questions in the chat box and we'll answer them as the presentation goes on. So without much ado, I want to invite the Executive Director of Refined, who is also the Director for the Institute, to take us through the research initiative and the grant available, the grant program. Thank you. Professor Peter Cote, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Rosalind, and good afternoon, good evening to all of you, depending on where you are connecting from. We are so grateful you could find time to join us to interact with us. Slide, please. Right, so the Retail Finance Distribution Network initiative is a research initiative based at ISA at the University of Ghana, and it is being funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The initiative aims to deepen financial inclusion among the vulnerable and excluded, but more especially women, poor households, SMEs, and other retail businesses. The aim is basically to demonstrate how to effectively expand the reach of agent networks through public policy and commercial solutions that can plausibly be scaled. So those are the two key words: to research, that is public policy, and commercial solutions, and to demonstrate how to advance public knowledge about the structural constraints limiting agent networks globally. The Refined initiative is one great idea that will bring researchers. Can I be allowed to control the slide? Because it looks like it's not moving as I would have loved. Okay, so the operational structure, we have the management committee, which is made up of the following members. And we also have the policy committee comprising Professor Ite, Mr. Kwame Japon, Mr. Bedezachun, and then the Kawasaki. These are very seasoned people in industry, academia. Mr. Chun with MTN, Carl with MTN, ECB, Momo, and many others. We intend to expand the policy committee, including a bit more females. But then we also have the scientific committee. Those are the key decision makers. They are together with the reviewers, review the proposals you submit, and then recommend the proposal that merit award. Those that do not, they give you feedback as to how to enrich it and then get it better. Then we have a project staff who are in-house and help to, ranging from the project director to communications, accounting, and postdocs, admin support, grant manager, etc. Next slide. So our approach is basically to catalyze collaborations among researchers, policymakers, and financial service providers, and then also experiment with practical solutions for expanding the reach of mobile money and agent banking networks that are very essential in connecting low-income households, women, the vulnerable populations, and formal financial services. We support high-impact research projects with potential publication in high-impact factor journals. We also support the dissemination of research insights. Next. So the research focus particularly is on the supply side of interventions. It is open to assessing broader market level implications, impacts, effects on supply side interventions. It also aims to understand the impact of supply side intervention on all market players, including consumers, household, SMEs, agents, and commercial providers. It is interested in commercial policy, academic relevant research interventions, understanding the impact of competition in the market. To accomplish this, we are looking for strong partnerships. In fact, that's why we are here today, between academia, policymakers, commercial providers, to conceive and implement mutually relevant research questions. Next slide. So the focus of agent banking, the organization of digital finance in the retail sector, vendor incentives and behavior, constraints of expansion of the DFS retail distribution network, the impact of policy interventions on retail distribution practice, relevant regulations and other institutional arrangements, and also very important is women's access to digital financial services. Our research questions, a lot of this you will find in the framework paper. I think you've all seen it, so I will not go through them. Quite a number of research questions, giving you guidance as to the relevant actors, also telling you the surveys, the kind of method that you're going to use. We have sub-grants for commercial providers as well. So it's not just for academia or research, but for commercial service providers, the ones that require interventions. The grant covers design of innovative interventions to extend the agent networks to hard to reach communities. So if there are no agents in some rural areas, what kind of intervention would MTN or the other service providers put in place? Those are some of the things we are looking at. Develop evidence and undertake research to inform the design and rollout of service product innovation. Then test the innovations on a pilot basis, then experimentally, and then you can scale it up. Then purchase of technology to facilitate the rollout. So if there is a need to purchase some mobile phones or some equipment that will expand the reach, that is welcome. We facilitate partnership between the service providers to advance agent networks to the last mile. And then lastly, undertake specialized training to build capacity of those that to advance agent networks. Next. So our grant categories are as follows. We have 5 main categories. We have grant for proposal development. So if you want to spend some time to develop a proposal, your time will be covered, or you need a place, a quiet place, a hotel or somewhere where a group of you are going to meet to design a proposal, which we think can be scaled up. We think the research ideas are very innovative, can be scaled up to extensions or greenfield evaluations. We'll give you $5,000. Then we have the pilot projects, and that is to conduct 3 to 12 months pilot studies, which aim at developing and testing interventions and methodologies that can be scaled up into full-scale research projects that we also fund. and you are likely to get between $40,000 to $60,000. Then we have the natural experiments, quasi-experimental research, such as utilizing variations from a regulatory change that enables observations of difference between individuals or regions exposed to the change and those that do not or cannot be exposed to it. It's just like the pilots, you can be given between $40,000 to $60,000. Then we have the extension. You can extend your pilot or natural experiment, and you want to expand or conduct follow-up activities associated with a completed research experiment. We are open to that, and you can get between $100,000 to $125,000. Then we have the greenfield evaluations. Those are the large-scale ones, and those ones, ideally, if you have a pilot that we think is good, you've managed to, based on the pilot, you can showcase that yes, this you can scale up into a bigger project. Then we are likely to give you the greenfield grant. It doesn't stop you from applying to a greenfield evaluation if you are very confident that that is doable. Next slide. So who can apply? Research institutions. We don't encourage individuals on their own to just apply. We want to deal with institutions. We want to build capacity. We want to work with institutions that have track record of managing funds. This is not a small, some can be large grants, but we want to deal with institutions. We don't want a situation where we have to look around tracking the individuals. We want to deal with institutions that have the structures. So we deal with research institutions, agent network of commercial providers, industry associations, policymakers, development organizations, etc. And the project must be based in low and middle income countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. So it's not a Ghana case study or Ghana-based study alone. It's not a West African study alone. With looking at Sub-Saharan Africa, we are looking at Southeast Asia or South Asia. Next slide. So these are some of the projects. We've just launched our second RFP. In the first RFP, we managed to fund some projects. We have pilot projects. We have one from Ghana. If you see the flag, that's Ghana. There's a pilot project. I think 2 pilot projects from Ghana. We have another one from IPA Bangladesh. We have one from Indonesia, and then one from Makerere University. So 4 pilot projects, and then we have proposal development grants. We have IPA Energy Access, which is an extension, and another pilot project by Opportunities International Savings and Loans. Next slide. So can we see the next slide? Yeah, so basically this is a snapshot of what this call aims at, and we encourage all of you to apply. I urge you to take your time, look at the processes. The grant manager will take you through the application process. This time around, we are moving from the paper-based or the email-based to a software-based mode of application. So I hand over to Rosalind, the moderator. Thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to addressing some of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Korte, for that very brief presentation. So we've seen that you are putting your questions in the chat. We encourage more people to put your questions. Any question you have as the presentation goes on, kindly put it in the chat. So at this juncture, we'll call on the grant manager to walk us through how to do the application on the platform, what is required of you for the application. Seth?
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Ades. Thank you, Prof, for the overview. I will be taking you through the application process. Just as Prof has indicated earlier, for this particular RFP, we are receiving applications via an online platform called the Reviewer System. It is a very user-friendly platform where applicants will go in and apply. We have created a link to the portal on our website. So once you get to that website, you are able to click on the link, but also the address is also pasted here. So you just follow the link, you create an account, and then you're able to go into the system to put in your application. We also have guidelines as to how you will be able to apply or how you're able to navigate on the system. I will just take you through a brief walk through on the system before I proceed. So 1 minute as I take you through the microsite. Great. Ades, confirm if you can see my screen.
That we can see your screen. Please go on.
Great. So this is how the portal looks like. So once you go onto our website and then you click on the link for application, you come onto the reviewer portal for our RFP2. It shows the countdown, the number of days to the deadline is there. Or for first-time users, you have to create an account, and those who are returning will just have to log in with the existing account. Under the download, we still have the rules that we have here. You can go through the rules again, and then also we have the download where the Excel template for the budget is for you to download the Excel template for the budget. We also have the framework paper also for your attention. So for first-time users, you need to create an account. So you just click on create the account. You fill in your email address, you fill in the password, you re-enter the password, your first name, and then your last name. For the password, the only condition is it has to be 7 characters. Aside that, we don't have any other special condition for the password. For existing users, you only click login, where you are able to log in to continue. I have an existing account, so I will not go through the creating of an account. I will just go through login. And then I put in my email address and my password. So once you log in, it brings you to the form where you're able to start your application. As the Prof has already indicated, we have 5 categories. So before you're able to start your application, you select the type of category that you are applying for, and then the form opens up for you. So for the purposes of this, I will just select a pilot proposal, and then we go through the form. So first is to put in the title of the project, the participating institution, list of the various PIs, the PI's address, the country where the project is being implemented from the drop-down list, and you give us your proposed budget, just the total budget, project start date, duration, and then you can either move to the next button, or you can save and log out and then come back to the proposal or the submission any other time. So for the purposes of this, I'll just run through. So all the forms, we have descriptions as to how you can be able to, or what we require from you to fill out the form. Like I indicated, they are very user-friendly forms. So with the various descriptions, you should be able to navigate to the portal very easily. Once you are done, you click on the submit button. But for the purposes of this, I cannot submit because this is just for the purposes of demonstration. So once you are done, you submit, and then you receive an email notification that yes, your application has been submitted. Okay, so like I said, you can save and come back to the document any other time. Once you come back, especially if you've not submitted, to click the edit button to be able to revise your proposal or to continue from where you stopped from, and then you're able to submit. If you've submitted one application and you want to submit another application, there's the add another submission button, which you'll be able to use to submit another application. One very good feature about the portal is when you come to the top button, the menu bar, is the personal. You can be able to invite other partners or other collaborators or other PIs to make input in the proposal. So once you click on the personal, you're able to add a submitter or add an editor. So you probably might be 3 or 4 PIs working on the project. Once one of them creates the accounts and log in and start the application, you can be able to add the other PIs to also log in and then also make their inputs onto the application before it is finally submitted. So in brief, that is how the application portal is. It is a very simple and user-friendly portal. However, if you have any challenges, we are just an email away. You can just drop us an email and we'll make time to help or attend to you and address all your issues. I will now go back to the presentation. So, next slide.
Seth, you are muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. So we are asking that for this particular call, we should have your narrative proposal, which is now embedded into the form. The detailed budget, you download the Excel template, complete the budget, and then attach the budget. We want you to also share your timelines in the form of a Gantt chart, which will also be attached to the application. And then a support letter from the host institution, which should also be attached. And also, where applicable, a letter of support from the collaborating institution or an implement partnering with a mobile network operator to pilot, let's say, repayment of a student's loan via a portal, then you will need a support letter from the implementing agency to support that project. And we are asking that all these documents should be submitted before the deadline date. We will not accept any documents post the deadline date. Okay. So regarding our timelines, we opened the call on the 15th of February. We have 2 information sessions. First one is today. We have a second information session on the 8th, and so which is going to give you all the necessary information to be able to put in your application. The deadline for the application is the 31st of March, which we hope that most of you would have been able to submit your applications. And then it goes through the review process, which is led by a scientific committee and external reviewers, as Prof had already indicated. We are hoping that latest by the late May or end of May, we should be able to announce the winners for this particular or those who have been awarded. However, during every stage, we'll be making sure that we notify applicants as to how they are progressing to the various stages. So thank you very much for your attention. And like I said, we are just an email away. If you need any further support, we'll provide the support to you. Thank you. Over to you, Ades.
Thank you very much, Seth, for that very insightful and deep, in-depth presentation. So now we'll walk through the questions, some of the questions we have in the chat, after which we'll open the microphone for anyone who wants to ask question directly to also do so. Professor Anand, do we have you online? If we have you online, say hi. Professor Anand, if we have you online, say hi. Okay. So I will take the questions and we'll have the team answering the questions. So we'll have, next slide please, we'll have Professor Korte, Professor Anand, myself and Seth are available to answer all questions. So for now, we'll take the questions from the chat. How many awards are you looking at? And what is the grant size for the sub-grants targeted at commercial partners? That's the first question. Professor Korte or Professor Anand, will you take this?
Yes, so with a grant really limited by how many we give RFP, depending on how strong and how good, how innovative that proposal is, we are happy to fund that proposal. So we are not limited as to how many we are giving to commercial solution providers or academic researchers, depending on how strong and innovative the proposal is. Let me also take this opportunity to emphasize that this is a supply side study. In the first RFP, we received quite a number of good proposals, but they were focused on the demand side of retail distribution network. That is not the focus of this research. We want supply side issues, innovations, things that would expand the retail distribution network. So I would urge you to consult the framework paper carefully, read through and really appreciate what the focus of this call is. Thank you. Rosalie, you are muted.
The first one says, how many awards are you looking at?
Yes, same. We are not limited by the number of awards. Yes, we have a budget, but then we are not limited by how many awards. I will pull out that information, the total number of projects that we can support per our grants. But per year or per RFP, we are not limited by how many. We can support more this year and less next year, depending on how strong the proposal is.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Korte. Another question is, can a principal investigator apply for 2 different streams of grant? Example, proposal development and greenfield evaluation at the same time. Will you take this, Professor Korte?
Yes, you can, provided it's not the same topic, the same thing, but if they are different things, you are not limited by how many proposals you can submit. You are not limited by how many categories you can submit to, provided these are separate proposals, standalone proposals. But if there's going to be a lot of cross-cutting, a lot of recycling, and then that will be difficult. But if they are clearly distinct proposals, we don't mind at all. Even per institution, you don't limit how many proposals an institution can submit. I see Francis on the call now. Professor Anand, the chairman of the scientific committee, is online.
Okay, so we have.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Professor. I was following. I didn't have the capability to speak or unmute, but I think it's now resolved. But so far, I think I just wanted to highlight one thing, which is maybe cross-cutting to most of the questions that people are asking, if I may. I think it relates to whether if you're a commercial entity, you could just develop a proposal and send. I think, while we encourage a lot of, commercial partnerships, projects that are commercially grounded or policy grounded, it's equally important that you need academic partnerships to develop a proposal. So if you're a commercial entity and you have a project or a product that you want to innovate on or develop. I think to develop a proposal that actually fits the standards of REFIND, you need some level of academic partnerships, which means you need this academic regulatory partnerships to develop as a whole. But yeah, I'll take more questions if there are still more.
Okay. Do you accept application from a newly licensed mobile money operator, which is currently under pilot?
Yeah, I mean,
if you're going to partner, yeah. No, Francis, go ahead.
No, I was going to highlight that I think we value innovation. We value proposals that has the ability to test out something new. So obviously, if you're new in lances, you are learning a lot about the market. So there's so much that can could be skilled or learned in that context. As long as you have a partnership with an academic entity that can fulfill the requirement for you, we definitely encourage that.
Great. We have another question. So we've provided information on the documents needed, so I'll skip that. Okay, so another person asking on the number of grants, which has been answered. Is it compulsory to have a collaborating institution or implementing agency? Is it compulsory to have a collaborating institution or implementing agency?
Absolutely, very necessary, because if you're going to introduce any innovation, not just purely academically to collect data, but you're going to create some innovation, then certainly you need a collaborating institution, especially an implementer.
Okay, there's another question whether students can apply. Students in a university can apply.
Absolutely. I think we encourage a lot of, project developments. And I think that's where I see a lot of the applications for PhD students or graduate students really taking place, right? You have an idea as a graduate student, you want to test it out, you want to explore, you want to talk to providers, you want to talk to policymakers to learn more about the question. This is really an environment to maybe to see those ideas. So students are, we will need a supervisor, and then that should fundamentally be fine.
Okay, so students can apply.
Yes, and just to add, I mean, looking at the high quality of work proposals we are looking out for, it will be good to collaborate if your supervisor, for instance, or somebody who's very seasoned in terms of these kinds of proposal development or proposal writing or grant writing. It will be good. Going alone, I don't know, well, it depends on the student, but I think if you collaborate with your supervisor or somebody out there who is well versed in some of these things might help. It is a competitive process, so you really want to put your best foot forward.
Okay. Is it permissible for any one institution to send more than one application?
I think I answered that one. I said yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, we also have a question on who can apply. Only agent network commercial providers are mentioned. For example, a DFS solution targeting women, which relies on partner agents for deposits or withdrawals, qualify?
Yep. So that's a very good question. By the supply side of digital finance, anything that relates to how to move money around both in space and time, precisely, it's eligible for the supply side. So mobile money agents all the way down to banking agents to other fintech-led institutions that provides any deposits or withdrawal arrangements with some interest in different population is certainly eligible for the supply side.
Ades, you are muted. But whilst we are waiting for her, let me, in terms of the numbers, I mean, somebody asked the number of projects that can be funded. Per our recent grant stream, we did 4 or so years, we were hoping to provide 9 proposal development grants, 11 pilot grants, 5 natural experiments, 5 extensions, and 5 greenfield projects. So that's roughly what the numbers looks like. But it depends. I mean, we could do more depending on the budget amounts that are requested. We may, and I can see us even doing more than what I've stated. This is just a rough guide of how many projects we can support. About 35 projects, but I think we can even go beyond that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. So in the context of this project, what do you mean by proposal should be supply driven? That's another question. Prof. Anand?
Supply side, supply driven.
Yeah, so
Prof. Anand, you may go ahead.
So side, this concerns any arrangement in the market for digital financial services that is not consumer driven or consumer related. So precisely, examples of what we have in mind may include mobile money agents, retail agents. Think of basically the retail aspect of digital financial services. So anything that concerns retailing of mobile money services is eligible. Anything that concerns retailing of even traditional banking services, which now we have seen, right, springing up, agent banking is eligible. Anything that relies on fintechs to deliver cash in, cash out services to women, to the vulnerable are eligible. So essentially, anything that basically entails the retail aspects of digital financial services is precisely what we call the supply side of digital finance.
Great. So I think just to add, in layman's terms, you can think about those who provide the product or the service, not those who use it, but those who provide, focus on those who provide the product or the service. Okay. We have another question here. For pilot projects, could a market study and the customization of a DFS value proposition for a local market qualify? A market study and the customization of a DFS value proposition for a local market qualify for a pilot project.
Well, it's not clear to me, but provided it's going to enhance the supply side of the retail distribution network. So look at it this way. Any constraint that your project is going to relax. So the retail distribution network, look at it. Anything that is affecting their expansion that you can help relax, you can help improve. As Francis mentioned, it could be mobile money, it could be agent banking. What can you do to make their work better? What can you do to relax the constraints that they face? So whatever you develop within this title, how is it going to relax the operations of the retail distribution network agents?
Okay. We also want to, at this juncture, if anyone wants to ask a question directly, please use the raised hand feature and we'll give you the access to ask the question. So please, the floor is open. Anyone who wants to ask question directly, please go ahead. If you also don't want to, yes.
So I thought I saw a question flash saying the time frame is too short or something.
Okay, let me see the question. Okay, there's a question on, can INGOs be lead applicants with support from academic institutions? Can INGOs be lead applicants with support from academic institutions? That's another question.
That's yes. That is an international non-governmental organization. Why not? Provided you have the capacity, provided the team have the capacity to deliver, provided what we are proposing is innovative, is going to expand the retail distribution network or the supply side of things, why not?
Yeah,
okay.
I think
anyone?
Sorry, I was just related to that. You know, I think we encourage such partnerships, especially if this is something that would enhance the supply side. So if you have, you know, academic institutions supporting your proposal, you have PIs, that's a mix of, people in the private sector, but also, you know, people in academia. And this is definitely a very nice mix of PIs that you want to have. So in that sense, I think it's eligible. But there was actually a question that I wanted to highlight about the fact that whether you need a coordinating institution. I think Prof. Kote had, you know, shared some reactions to that, but I would like to maybe add a few things to that. You know, usually not all institutions are powered enough to coordinate on implementing a project. You may have an innovative idea, you may have great providers or partners in the field. I think ISE has this flexibility. You can have interactions with ISE to think of really how to fill in for gaps where typically you don't have an institution that can coordinate effectively, you know, research projects in the field. So I think there's this possibility that you can reach out to ISE as an institution and discuss possible, you know, implementation or coordinative, you know, ideas for your project as a whole. But that's something that I'll consider if you don't have, you know, any fundamental coordinating institution.
Great. Seth, I think there's a question for you. Are there any templates for writing the proposal? Are there any templates for writing the proposal? Seth, I think you can take this.
Okay, thank you. So yes, the template is what has been embedded into the portal. However, if they want the templates, we can provide them on the website where they can download, look at them, and then once they are ready, they can upload them, fill in the form on the website. So yes, we have templates.
Great, thank you. Do we have anyone who wants to ask a question directly?
I thought someone's hand was up. Is it Desmond or so?
Okay. Yeah, well, please unmute your microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, Derek. Derek's hand up.
It goes. I don't know what is happening.
Okay, Prof, please go on.
Let me add, yes. I think Francis spoke about it, but let me just chip in this. There are some, I mentioned earlier, that we want to give grants to institutions that have the track record, that can manage grants. So we'll do some financial integrity assessment. If we realize your institution has no capacity to manage the grant, we'll have an arrangement with you where ISA will manage and disburse the funds to you. So that discussion, we'll have that on a bilateral basis once your proposal has been selected for funding.
Okay. Someone is asking whether proposal he or she can apply for proposal grant and pilot study at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the proposals are distinct, why not? You know, we just want to start in innovative projects. So if you have two innovations for proposal development, and then the other one is eligible for, you know, a pilot, you set it up.
Great. Just to remind you that you can ask questions directly. As a researcher, what document do I need from my university to attach to my submission? Seth, as a researcher, what document do I need from my university to attach to my submission?
Great. So as Prof has indicated, we want to work with institutions. So we need a support letter from the university or the institution indicating that they are in support of the proposal or they're in support of the project. So you need a support letter.
Okay. Any questions not answered? Anyone has a burning question? We have one, Camborona. Please speak. Camborona, please unmute yourself and speak. You can talk now. Yeah. Sorry, can the organizer please unmute Camborona for me, or mute all participants, please? Can the host unmute all participants, please? Then we'll have Camborona talk now. Host, please unmute all participants. Then we have another from Idele. There's a question on any comments why the deadline is so tight. A question on why the deadline is so tight. Host, please unmute the microphones of those who have raised their hands.
Yeah, I have already done that, so they just have to unmute themselves.
Okay, great. So, Camborona, please unmute your microphone. Iredele, please unmute your microphone. Thank you. Camborona says he can't seem to unmute. Iredele, can you please unmute your microphone?
Okay, good evening all, and thank you very much. My question is, I think, I'm not sure if it has been answered, but it wasn't clear to me. Can an institution apply for more than one category? For example, you have the pilot, you have extensions, the natural experiments, and an institution apply for more than one in each of, or in any of the categories?
Yeah, I can take that. I think this just in the interest of clarity. Or a group of PIs can certainly apply to more than one line. To be honest, yes, that both fits in the pilot. You can apply to as apply to proposal development or an extension at the same time, or even you could apply for two pilots at the same time, as long as
Iredele, is your question answered now? So you can apply.
Yeah, very clear. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So
Camborona, are you able to unmute yourself now? Pardon?
Can I address the issue about the deadline?
Yes, please. Yes, Lord.
Yeah, okay. So that is coming from Simeon from Lavra University. Simeon, yes, you are right. It's tight. We're having six weeks. But unlike other calls where it is focused on different thematic areas, for some, different thematic areas. This one, RFP 1, RFP 2, and RFP 3, 4 is the same supply side. So people have a lot of time from when this project was launched till now to consult our website and write a proposal. Besides, if you look at the template, it's not something that is very demanding, which 6 weeks is long enough for one to submit a very decent proposal. We're not asking you to write a very long proposal, very crisp, straight to the point. And I believe that is what we did in RFP1, and we had a lot of large submissions and very good proposals that we're able to fund. So in my view, the deadline is reasonable, and I believe you and your colleagues at Lavra and the UK encourage all of them to apply. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arnold?
So I was just going to add one bit to it. There are usually two different ways of doing this. Either you have a long range of time for people to crowd in ideas and apply. In that sense, you can extend the deadlines for so many months or so. And then in that instance, you have one RFP per year. The other option is you typically could have, short deadlines, but then multiple RFPs within a year. And we chose the latter because obviously research ideas and questions arise at different points in time. So the idea of having a high frequency approach precisely actually allows you to be able to tap into when ideas, arrive and when the people can apply. So the idea of having more than one RFP in a given year, but then with shorter timelines, actually it's innovative in the sense that we can catch ideas as and when they arrive in time.
Great. Arnold Kwesi.
Good evening.
Please unmute your microphone.
Yes. Please, can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, please, I would need a bit of clarity on the subcategories of the grant. The reason being that I'm seeing proposal development, I'm seeing piloting, I'm seeing the rest. But in each category, I know you have to write a proposal for it. So what's the difference between the proposal development as a category against someone who is just writing the pilot? If you can further elaborate on all of them, because I'm seeing proposal development in all of them. Yeah, thank you.
Prof. Kote can go if not, I can take it.
Yes. So with the proposal development, if you saw the slide I shared, it's basically for guys or a group of people who have some ideas, they want to meet somewhere and develop the ideas. Maybe you might need a quiet location, or do some quick reconnaissance survey and understand the issues. We'll give you that grant, but it will be funded provided we see that it has potential to be scaled up into a pilot study. If it's just a proposal that you are developing that has no potential of being introducing any innovation, you just go and collect data, analyze, and present findings. But whatever you do cannot be scaled up, then it becomes difficult for us to fund. So that's basically the difference between the proposal development and the pilot. The pilots will also give a scope. Piloting means you're experimenting something that you hope to scale up. So proposal development, an option to scale up to pilot. Pilot also gives an option to scale up to a greenfield or extension. So that's basically the difference to the two.
Yeah, and maybe just one quick addition to that is that the distinction across the categories is related to the stage of development of your idea. So typically, sometimes ideas are not well developed. You typically would like to start with proposal development. Sometimes your idea is developed and you just don't have evidence to scale it. You want to start with a pilot. Sometimes you have pilot evidence and you want to scale it, then you need a full scale. So precisely, it's based on the stage of development of the idea you have.
Okay.
Okay. Dele, do you still have a question? Dele, would you want to ask another question? Okay, your hand's down. Any other question, please? Any other question? Arnold, do you still have a question? Innocent has a question. I think Innocent has. Arnold, please go on with your question.
Oh, it's not really a question. I think Prof was speaking on the timeline. I don't think he ended, if I'm right.
So I did. I said the timeline. I don't know whether you meant Professor Anand or myself, but Professor Anand, I spoke about the fact that we are the same thematic area, the same supply side issue. So right from when we launched this project up to now, the issues have not changed. The thematic areas have not changed. The framework paper, the research questions are there. So once we develop a proposal, and Professor Anand added another dimension that using a high frequency dimension is also good in the sense that research ideas keep evolving. So as soon as you get a new research idea, there is a window of opportunity for you to prepare a proposal and apply, rather than waiting for a whole year to put your ideas together and apply, by which time maybe you might be out of date or outdated. So that is the essence to which we are doing this high frequency process.
Okay, I think there's a last question from Innocent. In that regard, is it a requirement for individuals who want to develop a proposal to be attached to an academic institution?
Francis, please go.
Yeah, okay. I lost a bit of the question, but my understanding is it a requirement for applicants to be attached to an academic institution? Okay.
Who want to develop a proposal? Who want to develop
is-
a proposal to be attached?
It is not a requirement for you to be in an academic institution, but it is a requirement that you partner with an academic institution so that we can have this academic, private or commercial relationship as you develop a proposal. It is not, you don't have to be attached, but you could partner with an academic institution to develop a proposal.
Innocent, is your question answered?
Yes. But as I said, we run the grants through institutions, not individuals. So you can't on your own apply and expect that we'll disburse funds to your private bank account. We want to work with established institutions. So it is better to partner with institutions that have the track record. You have the systems to manage the grants.
Okay. Thank you. Just a reminder that the presentation will be uploaded on our website, so you can go there if you want to listen more to the presentation. Great. Arnold, I still see your hand up. If it's a question, please come in. If it's not a question, then we can call it a day. All right. So we don't have any question from anyone. I want to take this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all of you for your interest in the RFP and especially for making time to join us for this information session. As it has already been said, we are open to any further clarification. Just send an email to us and we will be ready to respond to you. If you have any question with the application process, with maybe your partnership, with just any question, just reach out to us and we are happy and ready to support you. On that note, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you for joining once again, and we look forward to your applications. Thank you very much, and do share the program with your colleagues in your network. And also we have another information session coming on the 8th. Targeted at the Asian time zone. It will be at 9:30 a.m. GMT. So if 9:30 a.m. GMT, your colleagues in parts of East Africa and South Asia and Southeast Asia are interested, please do encourage them to sign on and join us on the 8th of March. Good evening from Ghana, and have a good day for our colleagues in North America. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye,
Take care,
everyone. And take care. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.